one person unannounced walked in with, it was over $40,000 worth of silver. Many days I will sell gold and silver in my shop for less than I paid for it. Because if I worried about that, I'd have sleepless nights. I wouldn't be able to sell them for much of a profit, because what good would that do? Because people wouldn't buy it. It'll just sit.
$100,000 worth of silver. That is how much silver this coin dealer bought in a single day last week. And then, of course, we wake up this week and we see a massive pullback in the price of silver. As I record this video, silver is down over $1.50 per ounce. That is a huge drop in price in just one day. And when you buy that much silver at once, how do you not lose money? Well, today we're going to be talking to this coin dealer and finding out what he does to make sure he doesn't lose money whenever the market makes a massive downturn like this. And his name is Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. Another year, another monster box of silver. For 2024, SD Bullion is giving away a full monster box of their 1 ounce silver Tree of Life coins. You can enter this giveaway all year, but I suggest that you do it now by going to sdbullion.com/sweepstakes and make sure you enter today. Thank you to SD Bullion for sponsoring my channel. Josh, welcome back to the channel. Let's get right into it. As we're recording this today, in fact, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Spot silver is down $1.51. We have seen a massive drop in silver and gold this morning. And obviously, your shop's not even open yet, guys. We are recording this before the start of the business today. But I still want to talk about this massive drop that we're seeing everywhere, because last week, Josh bought $100,000 worth of silver. How does that work when you buy so much silver and then you see such a massive price drop like you saw today?
Well, honestly, you hope you move things quickly in this business, because as you well know, and your viewers do too, I'm sure, prices can change quite quickly. Markets are always volatile, so you don't necessarily want to get yourself caught with a lot of high dollar inventory when the price dips, exactly like we're seeing right now. But inevitably it happens. I was able to sell, I would say, more than half, probably 2/3 from a dollar perspective, of that large group that I picked up last Monday. But I still have about a third of it left. So, you got $33,000, $35,000 worth of metal that I bought, at about a $28.50 spot price. And right now, I guess I don't have a chart in front of me. I don't know where we're sitting, but it's down like almost $1.50 today, is it not?
It is currently $27.12. It is down $1.52.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, so big dip. But there again, I think I've talked about this before. I don't get too excited about that, or too upset, I should say, because inevitably it's all about replacement costs. So as I was selling stuff last week, I was replacing it. As I sell stuff this week at a lower price, I'm going to be replacing it at an even lower price. So I don't get too worked up in, what is my dollar cost average of my inventory. Because if I worried about that, I'd have sleepless nights, because I've said this before. There's many days I will sell gold and silver in my shop for less than I paid for it. That's just that's just part of the game. That's the nature of this business. So you always got to just be more concerned about what does it cost me to replace what I'm selling on the wholesale market. And that's how you figure out, the money made. It's what can you replace it for?
Absolutely. So I want to hit on two things on that, and I'm going to ask you these. This first one is, you talk about replacement costs, which I 100% understand. I've talked about it many times on the channel. But in a situation like where you just bought $100,000 worth of silver, my assumption is that you were already sitting on plenty of inventory at that time. So is that $100,000 worth of silver, after you sell it, is that something you're looking to replace, or is that something you bought above that inventory level that you want to keep, and then at that point you just want to sell it to get back down to your inventory level?
Very good question. I would say, yeah, definitely some of it was over and above what I normally would want to hold. One person that actually came in, they were my first customer of the day on Monday. Just from them, they were almost half of that, what I bought that day. Just one person, unannounced, walked in with, it was over $40,000 worth of silver. Yeah, I mean, those things you don't really plan for, but they showed up. I made an offer and I bought it. So am I going to replace all of that? No, probably not. I do try to keep fairly consistent inventory levels, but at the same time, in our business, we're kind of reinvesting, and our reinvesting of our profits is in more inventory. So we are kind of continually growing that number. But you do get in situations where you do get kind of over leveraged with metal and you become cash poor. I've talked about that before too. It inevitably happens in up markets like we had been seeing prior to at this moment, because we're seeing a bit of a flash crash. But yeah, I'm not going to replace it all, no, but I am going to replace some because, like I said, I'd rather have, for me personally, I'd rather have cash in metal than cash sitting in a bank account. So
Absolutely.
that's how I look at it.
Now, I'm going to ask you the next question. That silver, when you bought all that silver, $100,000 in one day, what were you paying, if you don't mind me asking? I'm sure there's going to be people asking that question down below.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've been paying these prices for probably the last, or at least real close to them, for the last several weeks. Any privately minted silver, that would be silver rounds or 5 and 10 ounce silver bars, I'm paying 30 cents back of spot. So that means under spot. And this is really the first period I can ever remember in our over 10 years where that is what the market bared, that we're actually buying it under spot. So I almost feel bad in a way, but knowing what wholesalers are going to pay me if I get over leveraged, like we just talked about, and I have to liquidate it, that's what they're going to pay me. They're going to pay me 30 cents over spot for those particular items. 90% silver, I was paying melt. At the time, it was like 20.5 or 20.6. I don't exactly remember, but basically it was spot. You take spot price times 0.715, and that's the price we were paying for 90%. For sovereigns, it varies. Within that first group we were talking about that sold the almost $40,000 worth of stuff, there were some uncirculated sovereigns. I think Silver Eagles I paid plus 2.25 over spot per ounce. But they also had some that I would consider impaired or secondary. They were scuffed, scratched, fingerprinted. Same with Maple Leafs, Britannias, some other things too. Those I actually paid spot for. So, and then they did have some bigger bars too. They had some unusual weights actually. There were some 100-gram bars, 250-gram bars, 500-gram bars. Those I paid, I believe, the same as the 1, 5, and 10 ounces, which were 30 cents back of spot. So basically anything privately minted, I'm paying under spot right now. And the bigger size is even more so under spot. Kilos, 100 ounces, I'm paying even more back of spot. Just because that's what the market bears right now, and retail premiums are so low on them.
Yeah.
If I bought them at spot, I wouldn't be able to sell them for much of a profit because they're selling for not much over spot.
And speaking of that, you had actually did like a flash sale on your YouTube page. You had talked about where people could call in and buy some of that silver you bought. So when you did that sale, what were you selling at over spot? Let's talk about generics. So you said 30 cents back for generics. What were you selling it during that sale for?
Yeah, I was selling them at spot plus 50 cents.
That's reasonable. You're making an 80 cents per ounce profit, which, that means you sell 10 ounces. That's only $8. That's not a whole lot of money
Right.
for what essentially is nearly at the time a $300 purchase, a little bit less today, but that's not a major profit. So, and we had talked before about, like, obviously coin shops, they have to make a profit. You have to stay in business. Your overhead doesn't pay itself. And, obviously being that this is what you do for a living, you need to take care of yourself as well. But it's nice to see, shops that have a reasonable, buy-sell spread versus some of the shops that I've called in the past that are just, asinine. I hate to say it, but it's true. And that's not all of them. Like, most shops that I've experienced are really good. Josh, I think you'll agree to that, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
But man, there's some bad ones out there. So
there can be.
And that's my goal. It's not to show people. I don't name these shops. I don't throw them under the bus. You know this. But it's to show people what they can expect. If they were to go out and, if they watch a couple of my videos where I do that, and then they walk into a shop and they, get something like one of the bad ones, they know to go elsewhere. It's not to call them out. So,
right.
What about the Eagles? You bought the Eagles for $225 over, you said, for the BU ones, right?
Yep.
What were you selling those for?
Well, I'm selling Eagles today for spot plus $5.25.
Okay.
So a bit of a higher spread, but the reason I'm not really aggressively buying Eagles is because Eagles are not selling. So far and away. I mean, I think I maybe sold 20 ounces in Silver Eagles last week, which is stupid. I mean, it's basically nothing.
Yeah.
Where we sold, many thousands of ounces of generics. So Eagles aren't selling, so I'm more cautiously buying those back. And I just want to circle back to something we talked about just a couple minutes ago. my flash sale where I was selling for 50 cents over. Full disclosure, when I decided to do that sale, I pre-purchased secondary rounds from one of my wholesalers, and I paid a quarter over. So literally, I was planning on making a quarter per ounce just to move inventory. But because I had that big deal come in Monday morning, which actually included like 700 or 800 silver rounds that I was able to buy back of spot. I mean, I sold some of those as part of the sale too, which minimized the number that I had to replace. So
Right.
sometimes things have a way of working out, but I didn't go into it thinking, oh, if silver doesn't move, I'm going to make 80 cents an ounce. Boy, that would have been awesome. But it was more like a quarter.
Yeah.
What I was figuring on making on each ounce, assuming no up or down swing in price based on where I bought them at. So
Yeah. That's probably more than fair, honestly, if you ask me.
yeah.
So let me ask you this. Now that the spot price has dropped so much, that silver that you still have, are you then increasing the premium on it, or are you just going to sell it at a loss like you had hinted at earlier?
No, I won't be increasing the premium. I mean, if I did, what good would that do? Because people wouldn't buy it. It'll just sit.
Fair enough.
So I learned a long time ago, it's all about, velocity and, turn and burn, you can say, moving inventory. I would love to do some of the volumes like SD Bullion does, where, boy, wouldn't that be amazing? And then if you make a little less per ounce, it doesn't matter because you're moving such massive volumes. But that's something I'm working hard towards, is just moving more ounces, because I don't like inventory to sit. Because I always want to just sell it and then replace a little bit more. That's always been our business model. For every 20 ounces we sell, maybe we can go back and buy 21 on the wholesale market. So that's just kind of been our own business model. So, but yeah, it's going to be sold for, market price. It doesn't matter what I paid for it. It matters what I can buy it back for.
For sure. So since you have to sell that silver, less than what you had paid for it, you will definitely then just replace that with your wholesaler then?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Gotcha. So is that kind of like a way that your what we talked about earlier, where your basic level of inventory, is that how it increases because you buy something and then spot drops, and then, well, if I sell it, at a lower number, then I want to replace it, and then all of a sudden now that's just your new level of inventory? Is that basically how that's happening right there?
It is. That's happened, all throughout the years, really. You could ask me, how many ounces are we holding in the store? I couldn't tell you. I could probably guess pretty close, but, based on money in, money out, we always kind of know where we're at as far as inventory levels. And just on a daily basis, I know what I sell, obviously. So it becomes real easy at the end of the day or throughout the day to be replacing. And I always make sure, to replace a little bit more than, what we had before.
Fair enough. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking, what's going on with this price drop. You don't have any insight as to why this happened, do you? Or is it just something you were expecting to happen?
Well, I would say yes to both. I mean, you and I have both talked about it on our channels. Pullbacks are always going to happen. When there's bull markets or bear markets, there's pullbacks and there's price spikes. That's just how it works. So could I have predicted today that we were going to wake up and it was going to be, down $1.50 or whatever silver is right now, and gold around down $50? No, probably not. But, you can ask, or you can do research, you can ask the experts, and they all have opinions. Some of the reasons I've just read today, actually, for the crash, or I call it a crash, but I'm not trying to freak people out. Metals aren't crashing. The dip, maybe that's a better word I should use. Reason for the dip. Part of it is, unrest in the Middle East, easing fears, I think, in the Middle East, because, everybody a week ago was saying, oh my God, we're on the cusp of World War III. Well, now that's not even in the news cycle anymore. There's not, real active fighting between Iran and Israel right now. So that really lowers people's perception and need to use bullion as a safe haven. So that lowers the demand for the metal, for both gold and silver, which has a negative impact on the price. Another thing I read too, PCE report, Personal Consumption Expenditures report, which is due out this Friday. A lot of people speculate that's going to confirm that we are still seeing persistent inflation. And because of that, it would potentially postpone upcoming rate cuts. So whether or not that ends up being true, who knows? But that's supposedly having a negative outlook on metal, causing kind of a sell-off right now, which is why we're seeing a price dive.
Gotcha.
So there's a couple reasons, but we could probably list 1,000 reasons. And which one has the truest or most impact? I don't think anybody knows.
I bought some yesterday, so it was bound to go down. That's how it works, it seems like. What are you expecting today in your shop with this, price drop? Do you think people are going to, and I'm not telling you to tell people what they should do, just what are you expecting your customers to do today? Do you think a lot of them are going to take advantage of this dip and buy in? Have you had calls already, before you open, anything like that?
Well, I haven't had any calls yet, but my regulars know that it's pretty early. I don't unlock my doors till 10 o'clock, so it's not even 9 a.m. yet, so it's a little early for me to start getting calls. Having said that, I do have a lot of regulars that intently watch the market, and they're very calculated on when they buy. So I would not be surprised if I see several of them in today taking advantage of the dip. And a lot of times, if the dip's big enough, they're going to be buying big. I mean, I'm talking like a box at a time of rounds or some type of sovereign silver metal. So I anticipate it'll be a pretty busy day.
Guys, listen, if you want to check out Josh's channel, I'm going to put a link for it down below. I'm not sponsored by Josh at all, but he is a great shop, and I'm happy to promote him because he's one of the honest ones out there. So definitely go check out his channel at Minot Coin and Bullion. Josh, thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to having you on in a couple of weeks. And maybe, am I hearing this right? Maybe you'll get on camera?
Just maybe. We'll see if the planets align.
Well, make sure you guys.
We'll see if the viewers want to see it, I guess.
Well,
they can comment.
Yeah, leave a comment down below and let me know if you want Josh's face actually in front of the camera in future videos. And who knows, maybe that'll happen in 2 weeks. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it.